We are live, maybe.
Hi there, Tackler. Welcome to Disney Deep Dive, where each week we dive into the history, story, and details of the Disney parks. I'm Leah.
And I am Stefan.
And we are back this week. If you tuned in last week or watched the replay, we had about a 2-minute live because we very spontaneously got tickets and went to a water park with our kids. So instead of having an episode, we had you guys vote for this week. And the vote that we got was in favor of doing the Skyway and Skyliner. So that is what we are going to be talking about today. If you are watching live, let us know where you are watching from. Say hey in the live chat. And if you're watching the replay, let us know where you're watching from and comment. We will comment back.
Okay, so getting started, we will talk about our own personal experiences like we always do with the particular ride. And with this one, I have none.
I do not know. So if I do, it obviously doesn't stand out in my memory. Like if I did ride it, which it's very possible that I did, I feel like this is something that I probably would have rode because my parents were not very adventurous theme park riders. And I know that I went on Skyways at other places like Cedar Point and like other amusement parks, like a Six Flags type place, things like that. So it is very possible, but if I do, I have no memory of it. And it would have been on my first trip to Disney because by my second trip, we'll get into that. But
I don't think I don't think I've ever ridden a gondola or, like I said, I've been on the chairlifts at the zoo, but one that wasn't attached to a ski hill. So,
you know the ones I'm talking about at Cedar Point? Cedar Point is a Midwest. It's a big amusement park. You know those ones that go over with the little umbrellas? I've been on those.
Yep. Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
So haven't been on them.
Yeah.
But in case you don't know, the Skyway, which actually this is the first defunct ride we've ever done, which is interesting. But the Skyway was a gondola lift attraction at Disneyland and Disney World and Disneyland Tokyo that took guests back and forth between Fantasyland and Tomorrowland in a gondola type carrying vehicle.
Yeah. And I am going to say hello in the live chat to Gigi. Gigi's our good friend. She hangs out here with us almost every single week, and we appreciate her so much. And she voted in favor of this, so I hope you're happy, Gigi, because here it is for you. And yeah, we're going to get into it. All right, so the ride itself.
So this is really unlike any other ride or attraction that we've covered before because whenever we get into these, like we start at the beginning, like what inspired it, what went into its creation, and what sort of Imagineering magic was behind it. This is really like one of the few examples of a like plug and play edition that's found at the Disney park, meaning that they bought it and then just installed it and that was it. There wasn't a lot involved in it with as far as its creation or its story or history.
Yeah, not a lot of research or anything had to happen.
Yeah, it was more like a necessity thing that they just discovered and then utilized. And you don't find a whole lot of those at Disney parks. I guess maybe in the Indiana Jones episode we talked about the Euro Disney version of the roller coaster that is kind of it was like a plug and play roller coaster that they sort of themed out a little.
Yeah, we do also reference a lot of our old episodes, which a part of that of course is shameless plugging, but if you hear us talking about them and you are interested, we have a whole playlist in the description box, or you can just hop to my channel or type in Disney Deep Dive, and there's a whole playlist of them, so you can watch whatever interests you or watch them all if you want. But we do reference them quite a bit because they connect a lot. So.
And that's not our first reference to another episode. So.
No, it won't be it won't be our last either of this episode, but. I think one thing that's interesting about it is that what I mentioned about I'm not sure if I've been on this, it's because if you've been on one, you kind of been on them all.
Yeah, there's no real difference between them. And this is one that, other than it being above Disneyland, Disney World, Disneyland Tokyo, this is one ride that really didn't get much, I guess it did later on, but much of an Imagineering twist to it. It was just a gondola, and that was it. Today, pretty much everyone's familiar with like the gondola chairlift system of mobility. You've either been on a chairlift at a ski resort or a zoo or another theme park.
Yeah, I'd be curious if anyone watching has not been on one. And I don't mean just at Disney, but I'm just curious if there's anyone watching who's never been on like either a ski resort one or like you mentioned at like another amusement park or at Disney.
But even if you've never been on one, you know what it is. Like they're pretty ubiquitous today. But back in the early 50s, you wouldn't have found a single one anywhere in the United States at all. Not even at ski resorts. They did not have gondolas.
They walk?
They might have had chairlifts. Like
old
chairlifts, but not gondola systems or tow ropes. In Switzerland, though, gondolas were heavily utilized as a mode of transportation up mountains. So they used them a lot there. Disneyland had just opened, and Walt wanted to create a way for guests to travel the great expanse of the park quickly and efficiently. And being a futurist, as he is, or was, Walt looked to the sky for the answer and found the Von Roll Company in Bern, Switzerland. And this company, not these days, it's just kind of a, what do they call it? It's just, they produce a lot of stuff. But back then, they would produce gondolas and lift systems. So from them, Walt purchased a 1947 Von Roll side chair model gondola lift to be installed in Disneyland.
Yes. And that, if you think about that, that's over 70 years ago. So, that's a long time.
Yeah. And this is what we mean. This is what we mean by plug and play. He bought it and they installed it. And that's really it. There was real no difference to it.
Episode over. No, I'm kidding.
The end.
Bye-bye.
The side chair part of the description of it is just as it sounds. There were two chairs that sat side by side in this small bucket type riding system, and guests would sit in the chairs. They'd be lifted up into the sky via a cable, and the chairs were basically just deck chairs that were bolted into this thing, into this stuff. Big solo cup that you would sit in. Yeah, so not very
solo
fancy.
Cup, metal lawn chairs. Boom.
Hook it to a wire and you're off. But it did the job. There was no real downside to it. It got people up. It moved them. The gondola system arrived and was installed, and the Skyway officially opened June 23rd, 1956, which is a line that usually comes much later in our shows. But today, it comes right now.
Yes, and originally you had the option of riding from Fantasyland to Tomorrowland, or you could go the opposite way, vice versa, or you could go the entire loop, basically, so the entire thing, round trip, and it would give you the incredible views of the park, and you could see everything at a bird's eye view.
And it's interesting because it kind of had the dual ability to be just like mode of transportation or a ride. You could take it to get from one park to the other, or you could ride it all the way around, enjoy the view, check things out. Because again, this wasn't something that you could do anywhere else in the United States. You couldn't ride a gondola up and like see things from really high up, let alone a place like Disneyland where there's so much to look at. So it was like a dual attraction. You could do two things with it.
Which people still do that with the People Mover, which we have not done. So if you'd like us to do the People Mover, let us know. But that's people do the same thing. It's a ride and transportation.
Later on, though, it was changed so that the rides were only one way. So you couldn't just ride on it and then just continue going. You would ride from one park to the other and then have to get off. Thereby cementing the view that it was simply a way to get around. So I think at some point, Disney parks executives looked at it and just said, like, okay, this is just a way to move. Because this existed before the monorail. So it was the monorail before the monorail in terms of moving people around. But once the monorail showed up, I think they kind of got lumped in the same group. And it was like, this is just a way to move people, get them to where they want to go. And this was implemented. Technically, you could get off at one stop and then wait in line, get back, and then ride it back.
Right.
So you could still ride it.
But you couldn't just keep going around.
Yeah, round trip. For the sake of increasing the ride's capacity, though, and reducing like wait times, the round trips were just eliminated completely. Which I guess makes sense. Like as more people started showing up and using it strictly as a way to get from one side to the other, they had to find a way to increase capacity, reduce wait time. So it makes sense.
Yeah. I'm going to hop over to the live chat because I noticed a comment from Gigi and she said, it sounds like the ride Soarin'. Have you been on that ride? Yes, we've been on Soarin'. I love it. Love it. Yep. Yeah, the older version. And because it was recently updated about 3 years ago now, I think 2 or 3 years ago.
Yes.
We have not been on the new version. We were on the one that was California versus everywhere. But so yes, in the sense that you're up and you get all these views. But so what we're talking about is a Skyway system. So that is like, if you could imagine a chairlift at a ski resort, or you've probably seen them if you've ever been to like Six Flags or other amusement parks like that, where you're imagine a little bucket with an umbrella type top, and you're on a big cable going around the park.
Mm-hmm. So when you would board the Skyway from Fantasyland, the building because it had like a loading building, that was made to look like an alpine like chalet, like it was all like
chalet.
it was all like alpine themed out. It being Fantasyland, I guess it ties in. I'm not sure how, especially back then. It makes sense now because Frozen and stuff, but back then I guess it just kind of had that sort of look. But then from Tomorrowland, it was the loading building was made to look really futuristic and like forward thinking sort of. So they themed up the buildings, which I mean of course they did, but depending on which one you got on, you got a different experience. Fast forward a little bit, not that much, but a little bit, and we move to the Matterhorn, which if you watched our Matterhorn episode, you know what we're about to talk about. If you didn't, go watch it.
Go watch it, yes. Pause this, open a new tab. We just got into a couple's dispute because he thinks that there's something wrong with the tabs on my laptop. Obviously, there's not. But anyways, open yourself a new tab and watch that and leave this one going.
The Skyway was closed in 1957, basically immediately after opening, to make way for the Matterhorn, which was to be built directly in its path. To summarize, one of the main pillars of the Skyway was built on the top of Holiday Hill, which was a mound of dirt that they had dug up from Cinderella's castle, piled there.
Cinderella's castle.
Sleeping Beauty Castle. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sleeping Beauty Castle. They had piled it there. They didn't know what to do with it. They turned it into a hill where people could camp not camp, but I guess just have picnics and stuff. And the main tower, one of the main supporting towers for the Skyway was on that. They decided to build the Matterhorn right there, but they had to do something about the Skyway because it went right through there. So instead of moving and switching the Skyway around...
kind of makes me laugh. Like, can you imagine, like, you're like, all right, cool, got the Skyway going, seems to be working pretty well. And it's like something on your desk.
They decided to do this.
Yeah.
So instead of moving the Skyway, they said, okay, the Skyway's just going to go right through the mountain. So the Skyway shut down in anticipation of the building of the Matterhorn. It reopened in 1959 after the Matterhorn mountain was built, and the Skyway went directly through the mountain,
which is so cool.
Which I watched a bunch of old, like really old POV video of it, and it was pretty cool because you would go through, and like on the left side you could see like the coast, the bobsled going through, and then the Yeti was right there, so it was like a little added experience to it. Sort of made it more of an attraction than a mode of transportation. But it wasn't that much. It lasted probably about 5 seconds because you just go straight through the mountain. But it was cool. It looked really neat.
Yes. And then we're going to be talking about the World's Fair. Again.
Yes.
Again.
The 1964 New York World's Fair.
Which we've mentioned many times and for good reason. So.
This time.
Yes.
We mention it because the company that provided the gondola system, Von...
Oh, yeah.
Someone.
The Swiss...
The
Swiss company, yes.
Yeah, so Von Roll was also at the World's Fair.
Showing their latest technologies.
Yeah. And they had built a gondola system for people to ride. I don't know where it went. I didn't look into this too deep, other than they built a gondola system using their latest technology to display it at the World's Fair. Bob Gurr, who was present at the event, took note of the more rectangular shape and larger seating capacity of the gondolas that they were running through the system.
Yes.
They had obviously increased their capacity and their technology.
So then when he got back to California upon returning, he insisted that they could easily create a new gondola carrier that would be able to handle 4 guests rather than 2. And Disney, we talk about this all the time as well. The more people that they can push through in the least amount of time, the better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, obviously capacity was an issue to begin with, because they changed it from a round trip to, directly getting off pretty quickly. So after seeing this redesign, he said, okay, well, we can just make these. Like, we know how the system works. We have all the tools we need. So they built larger, like, rectangular gondolas that had benches instead of 2 seats. So it was a bench on this side, a bench on this side. You could fit 4 people and thereby increase capacity, get more people in and out.
Yeah,
and
double
travel
capacity.
More. Yeah, doubled it right away. Which, I mean, if you can double something with a simple chain, I say simple, it probably cost a lot of money.
It's like a double cheeseburger. I mean,
basically.
why get one? You
Double
can
the
have 2.
protein immediately. So, I mean, this kind of innovation and improvement in like the simplest, like smallest little details like that is something you see all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like even in stuff, because I mean, it's a gondola ride. It's something that gets people like from here to there. But when someone like Bob Gurr sees that and he goes, well, we can make that better. We can fix that. They do it. And, that's something that really adds to like the magic of the parks. It is just the constant improvement of even the smallest details.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something you see all the time. And I think that this is a really good representation of it. So
yeah,
just wanted to point that out.
Doing something simple, but doing it really well, like making it special. I mean, you see that around the park in every aspect. Even, I mean, you can get as simple as food. They make, the simple, like you get a hot dog or popcorn at the parks. Mm-hmm. They do it special. Like you go to Casey's or something. So just really following through that Disney, might be simple, but they're doing it right.
Yeah, right in line. Like it's on brand.
On brand.
On brand.
Very on brand, yes.
But other than the improved gondolas, the Skyway didn't really see any other updates or refurbishments at all. Mm-hmm. It was basically the same system the entire time it was in operation. Now, obviously, we're talking about this in the past tense because it did close.
Yes.
And it was during the early 90s that things started aligning against the Skyway. After years of decreased guest interest.
I mean, you've read one. If you've been on it once, you've been on it. I mean, that's it.
Yeah, and at this point, they had the monorail. There were other ways to get around the parks.
And faster.
Yeah, it really just wasn't. It wasn't a go-to attraction. People still rode it. It was still a thing people were on, but as far as being necessary, it wasn't. And as far as needing, like, eating up resources, it was. Now, you tied this in with budget constraints due to the trouble with Euro Disney, as we've mentioned many times before, specifically in our Indiana Jones Adventure episode. They were really tightening the belt, trying to cut back on things. And then also add in a case of overall metal fatigue from the decades of earthquakes and exposure to the elements that the entire structure had to deal with. It was decided the Skyway would be shut down permanently. And a big reason of this, and there is for some reason speculation and conspiracy theories that this isn't really it, but
get on your tinfoil hat.
Yeah, if you wanted to fix it, like you would have to. It's the same reason why they don't fix the Yeti in Expedition Everest. Mm-hmm. If they want to fix it, they have to tear the whole mountain apart.
They have to take the whole thing down. So it's kind of simple.
Yeah, so if you want to fix the gondola ride, you have to tear the whole mountain apart. Because if you see them build it, it's all rebar and concrete. So you can't just take it apart.
Yeah.
And it's all locked in. So if they wanted to fix it, they have to tear the whole thing apart. So you've got that expense, plus no money because of Euro Disney, plus other rides coming in, like the Indiana Jones Adventure ride. It made a perfect storm where they just decided, okay,
let's reroute some resources.
Yeah, we need to close this down. And Tony Baxter has a comment where he says that at the time it was kind of the idea that if they were bringing in a new ride, they had to close down an old ride. And I don't think that was like policy or anything. I think it just happened enough times that he was like, oh, here they go, closing down another ride. And because Indiana Jones was opening, they closed this down. They rerouted resources. The people who were working the ride and the money that went into maintaining it as they could went to that ride. So things shifted. They shut down the gondolas, and Indiana Jones Adventure
Sucked up some of that money.
Yeah.
Took that money, yeah.
And opened up.
I'm going to hop over to the live chat. Dean is here from Dreamers Empire. Dean is who we talk about every week when we're talking about the liveplace.com. So, hey, Dean. And he said that he loved the old Skyway. Yes. And I'm curious to know if you've been on the Skyliners.
Oh, yeah, the new ones. Yeah, which we will talk about in a moment.
Yes. Hang tight.
So really, it was just an icon, like, of a bygone past. It had lived its purpose. It didn't need to be there anymore. They had other things they had to move on to. Some people were very upset about it, said they should have it there forever. I think it was a good call, honestly. Like, based on everything else that was going on, it's like, you don't have to have these here. Like, just take them down.
I think that they're fun, but I think that it's one of those things where, and yeah, you can get the cool views. So, like, that's an argument that you can make, but you've got the monorail, you've got these other things. I'm excited about the Skyliners, but I mean, I think my example is the perfect one. I don't have a memory of whether I rode it at Disney or at Cedar Point or at, whatever other amusement park growing up. So it didn't leave a lasting impression on me. Now, I'm sure it did on some people, but
well, especially at the time, like, I mean, the mid-90s, you've got so many other rides and attractions and things that are drawing your attention. Like, if we ride on, like, the chairlift at the zoo, like, obviously you remember that because it's a zoo. So you see the animals, and then it's like, oh, yeah, we rode that chairlift. I usually see,
like, some porta potties, a zebra, and a lot of grass. But I love doing it with our kids, so it's okay.
Yeah, but it's still, it stands out because it's, like, a ride in a place that doesn't, feature a lot of rides.
Yes.
Whereas Disney is just chock full of amazing attractions and things that you remember. Riding on some gondolas would be pushed to the back of your memory. You wouldn't remember it at all.
Right. And I can see, of course, how at the time, I mean, it made so much sense. I mean, to be thinking of this in, like, the late 40s, early 50s, of course, when they opened, this was an exciting thing. People hadn't been. But by the time the 90s one came around, it makes sense to me.
Yep. So the Skyway at Disneyland officially closed November 9th, 1994. The Skyway in Disney World, I don't have the official date, but that closed in 1999.
Later, which is why it's possible that, both of us could have been on it as children.
The bottom portion of it still exists as, like, stroller parking and bathrooms and stuff, which is funny because I saw a picture of it and I remembered that we were definitely going to the bathroom right there because I was standing outside of it because it looks like this big, like, it looks like a building out of 1984. It's this big, like, square concrete building. And I remember standing outside of it while you guys went into the bathroom. So that's still there. But the rest of it's gone. And the reason that one closed, I think it was just kind of a pain. They didn't really like it. And there was, like, an accident on it, like, months before it closed. I don't know if that had anything to do with it. But they may have just been looking for a reason.
In Disney World.
Yeah, in Disney World. Yeah, they may have just been looking for a reason to get rid of it. And they decided, like, okay, this is an accident waiting to happen. Just get rid of it.
Yeah. We want to talk a little bit about the legacy of the ride because there are a lot of people like Dean, who's in the live chat, and other people who the ride meant a lot to. So there is some legacy, and they left little remains throughout the parks.
Yes, so the Skyway was gone, but not forgotten. Elements of it still remain throughout the parks, like, all over the place. During the 2015 refurbishment of the Matterhorn, we mentioned this in that episode too, but there are parts of the old Skyway, gondolas and things that are added to the Eddie's Treasure Trove when you go around that corner where it used to just be, like, the glowing crystals and stuff. There's now, like, gondolas, and some of the old toboggans and stuff are there also, but they have some of it there as kind of like a callback. And one of the original Skyway gondolas is suspended from the ceiling in one of the Disney Springs stores. I didn't get the name of which one. It just said Disney Spring Retail Outlet. I'm sure we saw it because we went in, like, all the bigger retail outlets. Yeah.
We were just there, 9 months ago? In Disney Springs?
Yeah. So there's one in there. And the original Alpine-themed boarding building in Fantasyland at Disneyland. It was there. It was still there. They didn't tear it down. They didn't get rid of it. It existed until mid-2016 when they finally demolished it to make way for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Now, near the end of its existence, you couldn't really see it. Like, the stairs were still there. They had a chain up, so you couldn't go up them. But the whole path was there. The whole thing still existed. There was rumors that it was going to be turned into a character meet and greet, especially after Frozen. That it was going to be turned into a restaurant and like 1,000 other things. But like the trees had all grown up and all the plants had grown in. So you couldn't really see it anymore because stuff had grown in around it. But it was still there. And then as soon as they started building Galaxy's Edge, it was right there. They had to apply for a permit to demolish it, and they did, and now Galaxy's Edge is there, and that is gone.
Interesting.
After it's had vacant for, a long time.
Yeah, how many? 2016.
Well, yeah, we
that
said it
closed 90. So I mean, 12 years.
Yeah. So, they got rid of that.
Wait, no.
Wait, was that
94? I was thinking 2004.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so 20 years.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's 22 years. Oh boy, yeah. So it just sat there, empty.
Because 94 was 10 years ago.
Which makes me wonder if anyone ever like broke into it. Because it's not like they had guards posted. So I wonder if there's any pictures of people like inside of it or something. Should Google that. Someone find that.
Yeah.
So now it's completely gone. Star Wars is there, which I'm not sad about because I want to go to Galaxy's Edge and I think it's cool.
Oh yeah, look at his sweet shirt. Yeah.
Oh yes.
Get up, well maybe they can see. Yeah, there you go.
Got the Millennium Falcon on there.
I call shot.
Or just a Carillion cruiser. No big deal. So that was the official end of the official end of the original Skyway. They tore that down. Now all elements of it are basically gone, except for the callbacks and shout outs in other things. There's also in one of the Mickey shorts. It's like the Alpine one where
which we
Mickey's
are
yodeling.
Huge. Okay, we're huge fans of that. I know, and let us know in the comments, please. We know so many people who are other Disney fans. I mean, some of our friends who are big Disney fans, and they hate the short, and we love them. We love them.
Yeah,
our kids love them.
They don't like the animation style.
Them.
And I think
that's what we did the last time we went to Disney. Well, we went to Disney, but our kids, whenever we were not in the parks and we were in the hotel room, it was it was on the TV. And that's all the kids did. They just sat and watched the shorts. We have some DVDs of them. We watch them on the computer. We watch them on the TV. We love them.
They're all on Disney Plus now, so we watch them on there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think they're great. They're amazing.
And I like the animation style. I think they're adorable. I love that style of cartoon.
It's fun. I think it's a really awesome take on the original characters, and it makes it fun and relevant, and I really like it.
Yeah, it's funny because, I mean, not to go on a huge, giant tangent, but when I first heard people didn't like it, I was surprised because I liked it so much, but then I figured out, wait a minute, there's a lot of people who don't like it. So let us know what you think. You won't offend us, but we like it. Yeah.
You'll offend me.
You won't offend me. But let us know.
How did we get on that? Oh, the one episode with the Yeti where Mickey's running from the Yeti. There are gondolas around the Yeti's like cave entrance. I think we mentioned that in the Matterhorn episode too, because there's also bobsleds there. But
yes.
Yeah, so there's a callback in there as well.
And the Skyliner, which is so funny because it takes something simple like the gondola and makes it fancy schmancy. So
yeah, they fancied it right up.
Yes, the new Skyliner, September 29th, 2019.
Just last year.
Yeah, just a couple months
Opened
ago.
officially at Disney World with 5 stations located at resorts and theme parks. And these ones are not the 2 or 4 seater cheapo versions.
No, these are giant.
There is only one other gondola system like this in the United States. It's part of a ski resort, I think in Colorado somewhere.
Yeah.
And they are giant enclosed systems.
They don't have air conditioning though.
Oh, really?
No. And because remember when if you follow Disney news, if you're a big Disney person, they got closed, and that was a big deal. They had to shut them down because there was one essentially stuck.
One got stuck and a bunch of others like jammed it behind it. But
yes.
No one got hurt or anything.
No one was hurt, but it was kind of a big deal because people had been so excited about this. And if you don't know, I'm a social media marketer and I work with some Disney related brands. So I do like news and updates and things like this for social media. And it was a big deal because people have been excited. I mean, you could take on the mobility scooters on those. You could take strollers on them. You could take wheelchairs.
Because it's basically like a moving room, and the doors just open, and then you just get on. So very easily accessed.
Yes. And so it was a really big deal when that happened because it was so early after they opened. And so people were like, but people are excited about it again. I mean, they got back up and running quickly. It was kind of people were talking about it a lot though, because it wasn't like it closed and they were like, this will be back open tomorrow. It was like, it was closed indefinitely. But it didn't end up taking them that long to resolve the problem. So that's good. Let us know for sure if you've rode those. I totally will. Some people are like, I'll never ride them now. I'm like, hey, things happen, You can get stuck on any ride at any time.
Well, especially right away. Like, they work the kinks out. They got it figured out. It's just, again, it's just a chairlift system. Like, it's not that complicated.
Although it would be terrible if it were super hot and you were stuck up there.
Oh, I would hate that. Yeah, it would be a nightmare.
Awful. Or I'm the person who immediately, like if an elevator gets stuck or, the Skyliner, I'd be like, I have to pee. I'm thirsty.
Anytime the chairlift stops and we're stuck on that, I'm like, come on. Like, it's so boring.
Yeah.
But it is kind of nice. It gets quiet up there.
Yeah.
But these ones are all enclosed. So I wonder if they have music or something playing inside of them.
I don't know that. If you know, let us know. I do know, I don't believe that all of them are wheelchair accessible, but there are ones that will fit mobility scooters, I think, or at least they'll transport you on that, and then a wheelchair for certain, and also strollers. So there is a way, if you are curious about that you can do that. I am going to hop over to the live chat, and Gigi says, you mean like I Lava You, that short, or the old black and white Mickey shorts? So these are new shorts that they're making now, but if you look it up on Disney Plus or just quick Google it, you'll see what we're talking about. But they're
all on YouTube also. Disney puts them all on YouTube for free.
They look like that older animation style, like they're a callback, a throwback to that.
Yeah, the characters are all like slightly redesigned, but it embraces a lot of like older styles and like callbacks to like the thing I really like about it is there's a lot of like inside jokes if you're a fan of Disney, because there's a lot of like jokes involving old shorts, old movies, jokes involving things having to do with the parks, like the one with the Yeti that we mentioned. That's basically an entire episode that's revolving around the Matterhorn, and it's all a joke about that ride. So it's a lot of fun stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely check it out on YouTube. They're just called Mickey Shorts, or if you have Disney Plus, they're in the Shorts section.
Yes.
You go there and they're on there.
I'm trying to like pull up a picture so I could show, but they're just, I don't know if they can see that. Maybe a little bit. Yeah. Yeah,
they're really good. We're proponents of them, so watch them.
Yeah, we're big fans.
I like them a lot. I don't want them to go away, so everyone watch them.
Yes, everyone watch them. And we have a shorter episode than normal because there's not all the Imagineering aspects that we usually have.
I was hoping to find some sort of like story about Walt going to like Switzerland and seeing gondolas and being inspired to bring this to the parks, and there was a big story about like having to like procure one and bring it over, but no, it was just like, we'll buy that. So
yeah, which is unusual, but let us know what you'd like to see in future episodes. It's a lot of fun, and Stefan likes it because he doesn't have to pick.
Yeah, I'd rather not have to pick. I'd rather just make something people want to hear about. But.
Yes, and so give us your feedback, what you would like to see, what you would like us to dig up or research for you for the next episode, and also spread the word. If you love Disney, if you are a Disney fan, if you are fans of us, I don't mean like a fan, but if you like the show.
But if you are.
If you're a fan, you can send Stefan a letter. Our P.O. box is listed and he'll sign something for you. How about that?
Yes. Do that.
Yeah. But no, in all seriousness though, if you do like the show, please give this a thumbs up. Please share it out. Let your Disney friends know. We would love it. We love when you're watching live with us. We'd love to get more people watching live. It's a ton of fun. We have a great time here, and it's more fun when you guys are talking to us. So we want to thank Dean and theliveplace.com. He hosts a lot of amazing streamers. That is one of my 2020 non-serious resolutions is to watch more of them, because I always have fun going live and like watching other people do it. So definitely. Oh, somebody says, can I vote for Soren? Yeah, Soren would be a cool one to do. Yeah, absolutely, Gigi. You know you can. And if you want to share, you can comment, or you can find me. I'm at LeahTackles on Instagram, and Stefan is at Small World Shirts Co. and the Mitten Print Shop. And we also do want to make a little tiny housekeeping note about Small World Shirts Co.
Yeah, we did put that on hiatus. It wasn't, I mean, we weren't super busy with it, but it's one of those things where it's like busy enough because we, hand screen print everything, and I decided to make everything more than one color for the most part for some reason. But it was just busy enough to where it was really starting to interfere with our main business, which is wholesale screen printing.
Yeah.
So I ended up not having a lot of time to devote to it. So we decided to put that on hiatus until we can really kind of focus on that more, put more energy into it in terms of advertising, getting the word out, and making it really worth our time.
Yes.
So it is on hiatus right now, but it'll come back eventually.
Yeah, I mean, and especially we love doing these, and so like if we can eventually, and I mean, in all fairness, again, like I work in marketing, he works in the screen printing thing. I know that I'm not like promoting these lives a lot. I could be doing that for certain. We could be promoting the shirts more, but right now it's just not been a priority with what we've had going on with our own businesses. But hiatus, and hopefully we get a lot of people watching our lives, and then people want to buy shirts, and then we can open it back up. So that's another reason to get more people watching. But we do appreciate any of you who've purchased very, very much. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you.
Yes.
And make sure, again, you check out the live place, find us on Instagram, and let us know what you want to see from us. And thank you guys for watching. We hope you have a magical day.
We'll see you real soon.
Bye.
See you.